And I looked at him and I just sternly went, "Sir, I'm about to ask my girlfriend to be I'm about to propose to my girlfriend, and I need you to walk the other way." And the man literally goes, "All right." And he just turned around and walked away. No questions asked.
Welcome to the Grace for the Growth podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Leo. The goal of this podcast is to encourage you on your own growth journey by empowering you to live your life with authenticity, freedom, and confidence. We will get real and raw as we dive into honest conversations about life, faith, business, relationships, dating, healing, and so much more. My goal is that you would walk away from our time together feeling a little less alone, a little less crazy, and a little more brave to be yourself. I hope you will find yourself more compassionate to past you, challenged as present you, and excited for future you. Embrace the story, welcome the messy of it all, sit in the unknown, and most importantly, live authentically. So pull up a chair in my virtual living room and let's dive into today's conversation. Welcome back, everybody, to Grace for the Growth podcast. I'm your host, Courtney Alexander.
Got him. Courtney Alexander.
And this is my husband, Nicholas Alexander.
Hello.
Hello. I feel like it just kind of rolls off the tongue, like Grace for the Growth with Courtney Leo, because Courtney Leo is still the brand. Like, it's not.
Yeah, and you've said it for name. 3 years.
Yeah, something like that. So
much longer.
Anyways, if you're watching on YouTube, we have a little bit of a different setup today. Heyo.
#journey.
We're growing and we're making things happen. See, here's the thing. Nick's background is in production. My background is also in production, and his profession was in audio stuff. So you can't really have a podcast with halfway done gear. So if you're watching us on YouTube or watching the video on Spotify, which now we have video on Spotify. Did you know that?
I was informed by you that it is now a feature.
Yeah, it's super fun. Anyways, you can see our new setup. So, and it's probably going to change every time you see it.
It's already in the works to change again for the next one, for sure.
Already have ideas.
We actually already have supplies.
Yes, they're in the other room.
Again.
And if you're also watching on YouTube, you will see our cat. Hello, Larry. He's probably going to jump up here at one point. He's like, "What are you guys doing? And can I go to bed?" So if you see a crazy cat tail, that's Larry. Okay, awesome. Podcast episode. Hey, guess what we're talking about today?
What are we talking about?
I mean, you don't have to guess. You know what we're talking about today, and everyone else knows because that's the title.
And we announced it last time.
Yeah, we're telling our engagement story today. 100 years late. But look, there's a lot been going on. We're not going to get into that. So we're going to tell our engagement story today, what it was like. I think that was great, fabulous, perfect. We've got a lot of questions about the engagement. We've got a lot of questions that people have asked over time. So we're going to jump in and talk about it.
Are we going to go through any of those questions?
They're on my phone, which is being used
for
another camera shot.
That don't know, we have no access to our phones. So
yeah,
we're not going through those questions.
Yeah, and I also didn't put my phone on Do Not Disturb, which is also probably a problem, but it's ungodly late at night, so hopefully no one's calling me.
Hopefully no bing bongs.
Wow, okay.
That's what I call notifications.
All right, let's get into the story. Yeah, let's dive in. So this story, I mean, there are two sides to every story, and there's definitely two sides to this story, because when it comes to engagement, our engagement story starts with us telling very different perspectives.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've talked in past episodes before this family meeting type thing. We've talked in past episodes about we knew we were getting engaged. That was not a surprise. I knew we were going to get engaged. It was not oh my gosh, we've never talked about marriage before. And he's down on one ring.
Yeah, down on one
knee. Oh gosh. That's going to happen a lot tonight.
So what happens when you spend 3 hours setting up your new setup. And then you're like...
But we still like each other, so that's good.
We love each other. Actually, this setup was better than the last one, I think.
Yeah, I totally agree.
For our temperament.
For our temperament. Wow. So yeah. So, what was I saying? Engagement. something about
Two
it.
sides of a
There's
story.
two sides of every story.
Mhm.
Oh, we knew we were getting engaged.
Yeah,
Like we had talked about it.
and
We knew that we knew. Like if you don't know that story, if you don't know the process of how did you know, that's a past episode. Go back, check it out.
yeah.
And it's literally titled "How Did We Know?" So there you go. And
How did you know?
and so we had talked about it, and then we went ring shopping because I didn't want to be like this is the exact like I didn't want to make decisions.
I would love
Tell a
to
little bit
clarify.
yeah,
that.
go ahead and talk
So,
about the ring.
When you say we went ring shopping, we did go ring shopping, but just for ideas.
Yeah.
You had told me that you really didn't know
Yeah, for
the
sure.
style of ring you wanted. You had ideas of like, I think I like this or I think I like that. And you had what you thought were preferences. Like you were like, I don't want what is it, princess cut.
Yeah.
Like you were like, I don't want that. I know that. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I don't know
No
what that
rose
means,
gold.
but okay,
I did not
cool.
want rose gold.
Yeah, you didn't want rose gold. You thought you wanted white gold,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. So you thought you had the preferences, but we wanted to look at them on your hand,
Yeah.
and determine like, oh, I do like white gold or I like yellow gold.
Yeah.
We also wanted to determine size,
For
ring
sure.
size as far as circumference, but also stone size.
Absolutely.
Because sometimes you see people that the ring is too big.
Yeah.
She wasn't in danger of that. I'm just going to clarify.
I mean,
Because your
it's
boy,
a great size.
it is a great
lie.
size, but
It's
let's
wonderful.
just say we weren't going bigger on the size. We were at
Yeah,
the
I think
tippy
it's
top
fantastic.
on the size of that stone.
It's wonderful. It's
it
not
is.
obnoxiously too big, but it's not like I need a microscope to see it.
Absolutely. I don't know. It's like a
beautiful, and
carrot.
it's
Carrot
super
and a half.
shiny. I just got it cleaned this week, so
Yeet.
but it's you probably can't see it in the video. But anyways,
Well,
there's probably a
that's
picture
okay.
somewhere.
But so we went simply for the fact of trying to discover the style that you liked.
Yeah.
And just getting those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think was very needed for my sanity.
Yeah, what happened at the second place? The second place we went to.
So, well, we went to one jeweler, the first one, and they were nice.
Yeah.
But it's like a straight up, like, I don't know the differences in jewelers. It wasn't like a known like brand. Sure. It wasn't Jared's.
It was home owned, family owned.
Yes, or community based.
Okay.
Anyways,
we have a lot to talk about.
Sorry, guys, it's late. But they were very nice and they were helpful. We got to see a lot of selections that were way outside of our price range.
Sure.
But it was helpful. And I remember you going out of that store feeling like, I think you've got some good ideas.
I asked you. I said, do you feel like you have everything you need to know to make a decision? Because that was my thing. I was like, I could not make a decision.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. I wanted you to pick out a ring for me.
Absolutely.
But I was like, I also could not make a decision and would not want to make a decision. I do not want that pressure.
For sure.
I wanted it out of because I'd be like contemplating it.
Yeah.
Do you know how long it takes me to make big decisions? This is a ring I have to like wear for the rest of my life.
Decisions. What do you mean?
Okay.
Most decisions. So you give a lot of thought to your decisions.
I do.
And that's good.
And the jewelry I'm going to wear for the rest of my life is a big one.
Yeah, for sure. And so I remember us walking out of the store and I was like, all right, you feel good? And you were like, do you feel good? And I was like, I mean, I know semi what style you like, or whatever. And then we got in the car and I was like, I mean, we have time to go to one more store if you want to. And I knew there was a store very close, just like across the parking lot, essentially, of the mall that we were at. I said, let's just go in and check it out. Why not? And so we did. And we went into that store and the super nice people yet again. We went to Jared and, which I think is great.
Shout out.
Yeah. And I remember you put on one or two rings, not a ton there, because we had already gone through and you're like, ooh, I like this style, or I want like 3 stones, or this and that. And then specifically, there was one ring you're like, I don't know if I like that style, but I want to try it on. It looks nice. And I remember you put it on your finger and you literally gasped. And you were like, I'm so surprised how much I love this. And spoiler alert, that is the ring that I chose, because it is the only ring that you had a visual and auditory reaction
Yeah, I
of
loved it.
just, whoa.
Yeah, you got me the exact ring.
I got
Love
you
it.
the exact ring.
Whoop, whoop. It was
Yeah.
wonderful.
So I
That's a
remember
good
I
story.
legitimately like was like mental note.
Yeah.
And I remember like trying to think of the exact style, I guess, cut or whatever.
Sure.
I don't know what they're called because there's like all these different brands. I mean, they're all at Jared, but tons of people, I guess, make their own or whatever. So
Yeah.
I remember looking at it like, that one, that's the one. Gotta remember.
Love it.
And it was a very weird name, so it was kind of easy.
Well,
to
she was
remember.
able to record it too, which is great. Anytime you use those places, they're able to like write it down and
Well,
like, put it in your shopping cart.
They did. The other
Yeah.
one said they did, and I never got the email.
Nice.
So I'm not going to
Nice.
blast them. But
Wow. Anywho, so yes, so great. So you get the ring,
yeah,
and we're gonna get to the good stuff. I promise. We gotta get there.
it was good. What do you mean?
We gotta get there.
We worked together on getting a ring that you love.
We did. It was wonderful. So you get the ring. Tell us, so we got engaged on May 10th. My birthday is May 6th.
Yes.
Did you have a ballpark of when you wanted to propose, of what the engagement date was? Like, how do you pick the date? Because you got the ring.
I had a ballpark, and it was the wrong one, first off.
Okay, yeah, that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
I don't think we actually talked about that.
We have
but
not.
Originally, just really quickly, you were thinking
July.
July.
I feel like, plan on maybe me asking you in July.
Here's the thing about Nicholas, and this is now that I've been with him a year longer than these conversations now. The thing about Nick is that he sometimes just like throw things out. Like, I'm somebody who's like, you're very logical, but I'm the person who's like maps it out. Like,
Yeah.
this leads to this, leads to this. We need this much margin for this. We need this much margin for this. And you're like, I think July sounds good. Like,
Yeah, it
you
just
also
felt
did
good.
it with like
But I
the
had a
other
reason.
thing. Yeah, the other thing that comes to mind is like you also did it with like our budget for our housing. Like, when we were looking for a house together, you were like, I think this amount is good. And I'm like, based on what? And you're like, I don't know. Like,
From my ample years of renting.
like, it's just like this like gut feeling that you have. So you're like,
It's the
summertime.
Holy Spirit.
And this was kind of early. Like, we started talking about engagement pretty early. And so you had said July, and I was like, pit in my stomach. I was like, I can't do this because we had already booked our wedding for November.
Exactly.
That's
and the
thing.
reason I picked July is because, and this is an example of people, there's no set time.
Yeah.
In my brain, we were supposed to date for 6 months. Supposed to date for 6 months.
Yeah.
Then it's okay. After 6 months, you can be engaged. The world won't look at you weird.
Sure.
And then after that, you're engaged for at least 6 months.
Sure. But we had booked our wedding for November already.
Yeah.
We booked our wedding in March. We didn't get engaged till May. Spoiler alert. Yikes. Anyways, so hey, when you know, you know. Wedding industry is crazy. But so we booked our venue in then. My brain is fritzing. Oh, this little kitty cat. We booked our venue, and then we were just like, okay, like, I'm gonna figure this out. And you're like, I think July is great. Here's the other bit of information that you'll hear in future episodes. The other bit of information was that the job that I was working, the contract job that I was working, was ending June 30th.
Yeah.
So, and my lease was also up around the same time. So we were thinking around that ballpark, that June, July-ish was when I was going to move to Georgia.
Your lease wasn't up, but you had already inquired you could go month to month.
Yeah, for sure. And so we thought that around that time was going to be when I was moving to Georgia. And so, yeah, I had an existential crisis at one point, and I think I have some Marco Polo videos that I'm not ready to share with the world. I don't know if I ever will, but I have some Marco Polo videos of me like losing my mind to my sister about being like, I just don't. It's like the only time where I was like, am I crazy for doing this? Because why would he wait for July? We know we're getting married. We want to get married. We already booked our venue. And I have to sit here knowing that this is the man that I'm going to marry, and no one else in the world knows. That's not true. A lot of people in the world already knew. Like, people knew we had booked our venue. People knew we were getting married. Like, it was a whole thing. But I was like, I need to plan a wedding in 4 months and move. And I'm going to move To go be in the same city as my boyfriend, that sounds so different than moving to the same city as my fiance, which a lot of people do that. A lot of people
Absolutely.
like go and date in the same city, but we were already past that. We were already like, well, we're getting married. And I'm like, what? So yeah. So you moved it back ballpark
Yes.
to May, which we're very grateful about. The stipulations that you had told me was that I was meeting your parents. I knew I was meeting your parents the middle
Yes.
of April.
Yes.
So I knew that had to happen first.
Yes.
So I knew it was going to be after April, and then I didn't know how late. I feel like I knew.
You had asked me. You said 4 months is really fast to try to plan a wedding.
Yeah.
6 months sounds a little better.
Yeah,
And
which would have been
you
in
had said
May.
that. Yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
you had kind of said that, and I was like, okay. I mean, yeah. And when was your brother's graduation?
May 2nd, the weekend before.
Yeah. And we found out that I was able to go a little bit before then.
Sure.
But not crazy amount because I had a prior engagement.
Yeah. So let's set the scene for this week, right? This week leading up to this.
Well, first, hold on.
Okay.
So you mentioned my parents.
Yeah.
And I did want you to meet my parents, which is essential to me.
Yeah.
And
he had already met mine.
Yes, I had met yours and everything, and mine live 6 hours away.
Yeah.
And so I was like, look, I really just, and they're actually my grandparents, but they raised me. That's for the viewers. She knows that. But they raised me.
What?
And the impact they have on my life and everything. I mean, it's not like they run my life, but I honor them.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, absolutely. And so I was like, no, I can't just do this. I know I'm an adult in my 30s, but you got to meet Betty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Which is my grandma. Like,
yeah.
You got to meet Betty. Not that you need her approval. I knew you would have it, but not that you needed her approval. But I mean, it's just what I needed to have done. It was,
and for the record, I did get their approval.
Yeah, you did get the approval. So that week, though, we were in that city. I don't know. Should we say the city? It doesn't matter.
West Tennessee.
Yeah, fine. We were in West Tennessee. I don't know how this works, but we were in West Tennessee at my parents' house, and I got confirmation. I had purchased the ring, I think 2 weeks before then, and you didn't know, but I had gotten confirmation that it was delivered the middle of the week that we were there. And I got an email that was like, pick it up within this amount of days or we're shipping it back. And I freaked because we're 6 hours away. And I was like, oh my gosh, how am I going to go get this ring? So I called the store and I was like, hi, this is so-and-so. I can prove it by this.
This is the first time I'm hearing this.
Exactly. And I was like, I remember walking around their driveway. Like I was like, I'll be right back. One outside, walking around the driveway. I don't even remember this. Because I was like, she can't know. How am I going to talk about the engagement ring whole thing? So I remember I was walking circles in the driveway, freaking out, talking on the phone to not Jared, but Jared. And I was like,
yo, Jared.
Yeah, help me out, man. But they were so nice. And they're like, oh, absolutely. We'll keep it an extra couple of days. No problem at all. Like, we've got all the information. We know it's you. And I said, I will be there hopefully this day, and gave them the date. And they're like, yeah, no problem. We can make that work.
I had guessed that you had purchased the ring because you quit talking about how broke you were. Like you always talking about, you're always like, I'm broke. I got to save for a ring, got to save for a ring. And then miraculously you stop talking about how you have to save for a ring. And I'm like, I bet he bought it. But then the weird thing was, as we get back from that trip and you're living in Georgia, but you live like an hour and a half away from the city.
Yeah.
And you and your former roommate like also lives in the city.
Yeah.
And so when we get back from that trip, I go back to East Tennessee, you go back to Georgia, and then I'm like calling you after work that day and you're like, oh yeah, like I'm having dinner with my friend. And I'm like, why would you not tell me that? Of course you would tell me that.
I would
hey,
also
I'm
normally
gonna go.
have called you on the drive.
You would have called me on the drive up.
Yeah.
You would have normally been like, oh yeah, this is what I'm doing. I'm like, literally, it was the day we got back and you're like, you're gonna drive an hour and a half. And I went, oh, I bet he's picking the ring up. I was like, oh, so at least I knew that. Like I knew that, which is not like, oh my gosh, spoiler alert. Like no. I was like, okay, great, awesome. So
what's funny too is I didn't even know. I tried to make it that day, but I walked into my boss's office 2 hours before I was supposed to be off, and I was like, hey, And I was salaried at the time, so
Yeah.
whatever. But what I mean is, like, I wasn't clocking in and out.
Sure.
But I walk into his office and I'm like, "Hey, I'm trying to go get the engagement ring before," and he didn't even let me finish. He was like, "Go." What do you mean? Why are you still here? Get out of my office.
Nice.
Go. So
Nice.
I really didn't know I was going either. But
Nice.
you are right. I would have called you to talk for the hour and a half. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So
okay, so let's get to engagement week. Let's get to engagement day. We've set the scene, all this kind of stuff.
yeah.
So
we figure out I can go to the graduation for your brother.
Yeah. So my brother's
And
graduating. My grandparents are in town. This is the list of
graduating
all the
college,
things
and your grandparents were going to be in town for that
for the
from
graduation.
up north from
And for my
14 hours
birthday.
away.
So my birthday is May 6th.
Yes.
My brother's graduation was May 2nd. And my grandparents are going to come down for that, for their college graduation.
And I had already taken that whole week. I had taken vacation
Yes.
for your birthday week.
You had taken the whole week off. You're like, hey, I'm going to take the whole week vacation for your birthday. Happy birthday to you.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing, wonderful. And other than that vacation week with your parents, we hadn't spent a whole week together.
No.
So I was like, this is going to be so fun. Like, it's going to be like 2 full weekends.
Same
and
city,
then
everything.
we're going to be in the same city. So it was like, okay, we were going to be in my city for that first bit with my family. And then about halfway through, so we're going to celebrate my birthday. It was on a Monday.
Brother's birthday was first week, part of the week with that Saturday before.
Yeah.
And then your birthday is that Monday. And then that Wednesday we transitioned to go somewhere else for my niece's graduation.
Yeah, so that Wednesday we go to your mom's house, which is an important part of the engagement day story. So Wednesday we go to your mom's house because your niece is graduating Thursday.
Yeah.
And then Saturday we're going to have a graduation party for your niece, so with your family. And then there was a debate on whether or not I was going to Mother's Day in Georgia with you. I was going back and forth because I was like, should I be with my mom? Like, I don't really know. So the other thing that was happening is that my parents, so my grandparents had come down with my parents. My grandparents live in New Jersey. So my parents had gone up to New Jersey to get them to drive them back down for my brother's graduation and my birthday. And they had to take them back up. So they were going to drive them back up and then fly back down. And my parents were being so weird. This never got me. If I am mad about one thing I did not pick up on, it is this. Like, my parents were so weird because like they kept asking, well, one thing first, like in my family, like we plan Mother's Day. And so there were no Mother's Day plans like whatsoever. And this would have been like the Sunday immediately after the engagement. So there was no Mother's Day plans with my mom. Nobody was talking about it. And I was like, what the heck is going on? And then, so they were supposed to like take my grandparents up. What they were telling me was like, oh, we might take them up Wednesday or Thursday. But as it was getting close and I was like, hey, like, when are you going to take them back up? This is the first time my grandparents were meeting you. And
which
so
is
I was
why
like,
we stayed in your city the first half of the week.
So I was like, if they're going to stay in town longer, like we'll make more time to spend time with them and all the things. And so I kept asking, like my mom particularly, I kept asking like, Mom, when are you going to take grandma back up? And she's like, I don't know, like something came up with Dad's work this week.
Yeah, so
and all this stuff.
We played this. We did this on purpose.
Wait, can I get to the end of this bit and then you can tell your story? Like, so I'm like sitting there and I'm like, I don't understand. Like, why won't my mom? I think I probably said it to you. Like, I don't know. Like, why haven't they figured out when they're taking my grandparents back out? Like, they got to book flights. Like, and so then that came into it as like whether or not my mom was going to be home or not for Mother's Day, because for some reason my dad, quote unquote, had work delays or work meetings that we were pending on whether or not that was going to impact the trip of them going back up. And if there were work meetings that would delay, my dad works from home. He could have taken the stuff from New Jersey. It was all boldface lie. Why did I not pick up on it? I'm still to this day mad that I did not pick up on it. Anyways, so that's me. So you guys are working this deal. So go back to your perspective about the grandparents and the trip and all this stuff.
So I figured out your whole family that is invited to the graduation, your grandparents and everything, in town for your brother's graduation. And then I figured out, well, my niece's graduation is 5 days later. My parents are going to be in town. So my whole family will be in town for my niece's graduation. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, really going to be another moment when everyone will be together.
Until our wedding.
or at least within an hour's drive of each other.
Sure.
Until our wedding day.
Yeah.
And so it legitimately became, okay, how can I make this happen? So I got with your parents first. It was like, hey, I know you're driving grandma, grandpa back up to Jersey. Is that set in stone, or do they have something going on? And they were like, what do you mean? I said, this is what I'm thinking. I'm thinking if we can pull it off that Friday evening, I want to propose. And I had already had a talk with your parents and had dinner and everything. So they knew it was coming. They just didn't know when. And then they were like, well, let us talk to him or whatever. So everybody talked, figured out, oh, we can do that. Cool. So then I told my family, I was like, listen, I'm proposing this day. You're all already in town. If you were planning on leaving that day, extend it one day. Just extend it one more day. Luckily, they had the graduation party Saturday. Most people were planning to be there for that.
Sure.
So I'm trying to thread the needle Friday, May 10th.
It's literally the only day that both of our families could be there.
Yeah.
Like both of our grandparents, like our parents. I had a couple siblings who couldn't be there, but I have a lot of siblings, so chances are high on that. But like for the most part, like it was the only day. It was perfect. Like mind-boggling.
Absolutely. So the whole working with your parents on that scheduling thing, it was literally just trying to play it like, oh, Dad's got this really important meeting that's been pending or whatever, so we're not sure if we can take it on the road, because they didn't know if they were going to leave to go back Thursday or Friday kind of thing. You know what I mean? It's like, okay.
Yeah, that's what they keep telling me.
Yeah, and I mean, it's all a ploy. The reason we didn't plan Mother's Day, or at least the reason we said, was because your mom was like, well, I might want to stay an extra day to spend Mother's Day with my mom, which is grandma, because she never gets to be up there.
But if she was leaving on Thursday, it wouldn't have made sense necessarily for her to stay the whole time, but she could have. Like, exactly. I was just going back and forth.
Were just extending.
So do you remember the week before? When you're asking me whether or not I'm going to be in Georgia for Mother's Day?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I still have not heard any Mother's Day plans from my mom. I don't even know if she's going to be in town. It's my mom's job to make Mother's Day plans, but I don't even know if she's going to be in town. Like, I don't know what's going on. And so we were there, and we were about to go back to Knoxville.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, let me just text my dad. And I in a group text, me, you, and my dad. And I'm like, hey, trying to figure out what to do for Mom for Mother's Day. Are y'all going to be in town? And he said, it's still up in the air.
Yeah.
Y'all better, we got to get off of this parents thing because we got too much to talk about, but like it's up in the air. Because I had said we want to celebrate Mother's Day with her early. Yeah. That was the thing. Yeah. And so he was like, up in the air, why don't you go ahead and be safe, better safe than sorry. And so we ended up like celebrating Mother's Day with my mom actually early.
Yeah.
And you two knew, of course, they weren't going to be here because they were staying later in the week. That's the thing. They were staying all the way till Friday. So my parents weren't even leaving with my grandparents until Saturday.
Yeah. And we were just transparently, we were all so nervous that Grandma was going to spoil it. We're like, Grandma, just don't spoil it. And she even said, she's like, I'm trying not to like
we spent so much time with them.
We spent an entire day with them,
a whole day,
like Tuesday or something of that week with them purposefully, because it's like, no, we want to see them and get to know them. For me, get to know them and all that. And I remember her saying later, like, I was just trying not to spoil the surprise. So it was funny, but.
So then you also decided to, now that you have the date, it decided to invite 1 million people too.
Yes. So fun fact about me is everybody jokes about it, and it is funny because it's kind of true, but I've got a lot of close friends.
I mean,
I've really tailored my community to include a lot of really great people.
We'll do a podcast episode one day about friendships in
and
adulthood.
How to build it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've mastered it in a sense. Not that I'm perfect at it. I mean, friendships fall through and things like that. But I was able, I think there were 55 or 60 people.
Yeah. I mean, our families are big, but there were still so many friends there.
And so
my friends came from Knoxville. Your coworkers came, like.
So
college friends.
I just had a thought that hit me when we were talking. I couldn't remember it, but you were asking about timeline.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember I planned it out at least a month and a half early.
Wow.
Because I had met with my former boss about the venue
I remember
to
that.
see if I just had lunch with him, which on my end, lunch was like, I want to talk about this, but also I want to catch up.
Yeah.
And I remember like trying to come up with the date. And I said, I'm thinking either this weekend or this weekend. This is before I knew about the grandparents thing. I said, this weekend or this weekend. And he was like, both those days are available. And I was like, all right, I'm thinking this weekend. And it was for the May 10th day. And he was great and was like, well, we'll get everything set up for you because
Nice.
I mean, yes, working in the production world, I had a full-on production, essentially.
It was a full-on production. Yeah.
And then I wanted to hire a photographer and stuff like that.
Sure.
And I have a close family friend photographer who's amazing, and she
Yeah.
did so wonderful. But got with her, made sure she was available for the dates. But
You did
yeah,
all the things.
I did lots of things. And then I did kind of give it away because like a week early or something.
You had to. I don't know how you could get out of it.
It's so difficult.
Can I tell this part?
Sure.
So like it's the week before. So mind you, I'm prepping to pack for essentially like so many different situations, like graduation, this, that, all that kind of stuff. And so you are kind of talking to me. And so then you go, hey, so we have the high school graduation on Thursday. We have the graduation party on Saturday. We haven't really gone out to like a nice dinner in a while. Like we haven't really gone out for date night.
Yeah.
How do you feel about like us going to just a nice dinner, just the two of us?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, sure. Like
in
that's
the middle
great.
of the chaos.
In the middle of
just
the
a
chaos,
little bit of time just for us,
where we have this massive family weekend. It's my birthday weekend, and we were already doing some things, just the two of us, for my birthday weekend.
But that was birthday stuff.
Yeah, and you're very good about separating birthday from everything else. And so I was like, yeah, sure, and got off the phone call, and I was like, I think that's it. I texted Lauren, friend of the podcast, Lauren Matthews. She was the only person I texted because I knew, I was 95% sure Lauren didn't know when you were proposing. And I felt like everyone else in my life knew when you were proposing. And so I was like, I do not want to put any of my friends, my family in an awkward situation, but I have to talk about this. And so it was so hard. It was so like it was so hard because you're feeling so many of these things. Like you're feeling I actually got really anxious the week before. I was in a conversation with my sister and I had like an entire emotional breakdown. There was a part of it that was actually kind of triggering for me. I wanted it to be a surprise, but the part that was triggering was everyone in my life knows what's going on except for me, which is some pain in my story. I have a story of that is everyone else knows what's happening and I don't. And so everyone close to me in my life, that's like in my daily life every single day, like knew when this was happening. They knew something I didn't know, but we weren't talking about it. And I'm trying not to ask questions because I'm not trying to spoil the surprise. I'm not trying to figure it out. You did tell me, Courtney, if you ask questions, you will figure it out. I'm not going to ironclad this. I'm going to do a good job, but like, I'm not going to ironclad this. So if you snoop around, you will figure it out. And so I didn't want to, like, I wanted to honor your efforts.
And I didn't want to be a liar. Like I didn't want to lie to you.
Yeah, for sure. And so Lauren was my person. Shout out to Lauren. And Lauren was my person who got all the texts. And so I remember texting her and I said, I think it's next Friday. I think this is what's going to happen. And I texted her literally all week, which was super fun because then on Tuesday, we record our first podcast together. That is Lauren like moderating it. Like we did our first podcast together. It was going to be our first YouTube podcast together, or our first YouTube podcast period of Grace for the Growth. And our first podcast together, and Lauren moderated it. I just said that. Anyways, so we do it. We plan on releasing it May 10th.
Yeah.
Which
I remember being like, so when does this episode air? And
which
like, Friday,
you
May
didn't
10th.
know that. I obviously didn't know when the engagement was.
Yeah.
You didn't know when the podcast episode was. That was a decision that I had made with my team weeks in advance hey, we're going to do the YouTube premiere and it's going to be the Courtney and Nick moderated by Lauren episode and it's going to go May 10th. And yeah. And so here we are.
and it happens to be engagement day. So I did get a couple of comments on Instagram that were like, "Oh yeah, of course. Like coincidentally, your Nick and Courtney podcast happens your engagement day."
It
I
truly
literally
was.
did not know.
Truly was
I
a
did
coincidence.
not know when I planned that. So
Yeah.
anyway, so that happened. So Lauren was just like my ride or die. But what I will say is like, so that anxiety that I was feeling and being on the phone with my sister of like, everyone knows what's going on. I don't really know. She did tell me, because this was the weekend before my birthday, she did tell me it's not happening your birthday weekend. So take some deep breaths.
Yeah.
Like, she's like, I'm not going to tell you anything else. I'm not going to tell you any more details, but she's like, it's not happening your birthday weekend. Because could you imagine like just look left and right, like looking at every single corner, like I was just a wreck. And
Yeah.
so I think that put me at ease enough. And then also to be with you for like a week leading up to engagement, I was pretty regulated by the time I got to engagement day.
I don't remember exactly when, but I remember driving by the restaurant where I planned on us eating.
Yeah.
And I was just randomly like, I've always wanted to eat at that restaurant. I've never been there. I hope it's pretty good. And I remember you saying later, you were like, I wondered why you brought that nice restaurant.
It was so random. It was so random. All right, engagement day. Are we ready to get there?
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean,
you've planned everything. Everybody's coming. Everybody's coming at night. So set the scene. So the engagement is happening, and we'll get to the details of it. But the engagement is happening at a venue. It's like a concert hall. It's happening at the venue. That's when the actual
seat auditorium kind of feel,
the
or
auditorium.
feet auditorium.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of, and I don't know if we've talked about this before. We're like, were we in the same? Is that one of the places that we were in the same room in high school?
I don't. Not in high school. It wouldn't have been. No.
You didn't go to any Lee Days in high school?
No.
Or your freshman year?
I sang at some events, but they weren't Lee Days.
Okay. You weren't even like walking around that day? Okay, anyways.
No.
We have found four different days in our lives before we actually met that we were in the same room.
We were on campus at the same time your senior year, my freshman year, but I don't think we were in the same room.
Anyways, I was in that room. I was on that campus. The campus that you proposed to is one of the places that, hey, we were in the same place. We probably walked past each other. Hey,
probably.
What's up? Anyways, so that's some context there, is that we've been in the same room a couple times before we met.
Several times
Actually. Yeah. So we get to engagement day. So it's in the auditorium. So everyone's going to come to the auditorium and all that. But that's happening at like 7:00 at night. 7:30.
Yeah.
So it's what do we do all day? So what do we do all day? So we get up. Nick's like, hey, I'm going to go get my hair cut, which is normal for him to do that. Like, our friend who set us up is a barber.
Yeah. I'll go through the day.
Okay, great.
So.
But I also have to share my perspective of my day too.
You can. So after each section, you can share.
Cool.
So one of my favorite things in the world to do is to get my hair cut. It's me time. I love it. And normally, I know it shouldn't, but normally it takes at least an hour.
Yeah, you're
pampered. For a haircut. Yes, I get a pampered boy at the barbershop.
Also, like, our friend is your barber. Yeah. Our friend that set us up is your barber.
Absolutely. So we're talking. We're always catching up, enjoying that time together. She's never, rushing it.
Yeah.
But so I'm thinking, okay, let's do a haircut. 1, want to look my best. 2, I just want a haircut. And 3, I know I can get at least an hour's worth of time. But I had told the people that were setting the venue up for me at all of the needs and all of the wants. And they were like, we got it. We can do it. And there were several people there that I knew very well, that I trusted a lot, but I still wanted to see it. I wanted to make sure, things were correct. Also, I was meeting the photographer to make sure she was good, because I knew it was going to be dark in the room.
Yeah, if you've seen the pictures, it's so dark.
Yes, it's extremely dark. And it was that way by design, but I wanted to make sure she had the equipment she needed, and if we needed to add lighting, how we could do it tastefully, that kind of stuff. So I was like, I need to go to the venue, but you can't know what I'm doing. So I scheduled first thing in the morning, I'm doing a haircut.
Yeah.
Hey, please cut my hair quicker than normal.
Sure.
I love you, but sorry, can't hang out today.
Yeah.
Anyways, ended up being gone like 2 hours because I went from the haircut to the venue and met with them and talked to them for a while. And we did make some changes that equated to better pictures and things of that
Sure.
nature. So I am glad I did that, but that was the reasoning. So I'm gone for an extra amount of time getting my hair cut.
Yeah, so you're gone for like up to 2 hours at this point, and
Yeah.
I'm like twiddling my thumbs, and I'm like, oh, because like remember, I wake up being like, I'm pretty sure this is today. Oh, there's the cat. Hello, Larry. He's in the camera view now, but so he's like, okay, like he's like gone for 2 hours, not talking to me, not texting me, not giving me updates or anything like that. So I'm like, okay, you know what I'm gonna start do? I'm gonna start filming. I'm gonna start recording, and I have a couple of videos actually. Wow, the cat is just literally he is in my lap. If you are not watching this video, you need to be watching this video. But I have a couple of videos to show you that I took that day. I started filming that day myself. And
Did you start filming while I was
while
going to my haircut?
yeah, while you're at your
quote?
haircut, because I was like, this is happening.
Oh,
Here
okay.
we are. This is
Yeah.
what's happening. So let me play the first one for you, and y'all should see it here on the screen. This is like me, like bedhead, like
It's May 10th, 2024. And I am 95% positive I'm getting engaged today.
I was so scared to say it.
95%.
I was 95. That's my thing, right?
What?
I just didn't know what
I
to do.
can't. I'm a mess. I literally have just been laying in bed and just like processing this day. But yeah, I'm so excited.
I can't think
I'm
straight.
so excited for this day. I can't believe it's here. It feels surreal. It feels absolutely surreal. And like I can't believe it's happening to me. I can't believe it's happening to me.
This video is like 4 minutes, actually.
4 minutes.
Yeah, I get really emotional in the middle of it.
Oh.
So we're not going to watch all 4 minutes of it, but I mean, you can later if you want to, but I'm not. Otherwise, we'd be here like literally for 3 hours, but I'm not going to do that.
What's
But
new?
so then what happens is, I know this is quite the long episode. So, I mean, we've been planning it for a long time. So then I'm like, all right, well, I got to do something with my life because now I'm going crazy because he's still not home. He's still not back. And so then I start getting into the place where I'm like starting to think about how to be normal.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's happening. He's not coming back from his haircut. All these things are falling into line. Still had not picked up on the grandparent thing. Still not a thing. And so, because like literally I was like, if it's happening May 10th, my parents and my grandparents probably aren't going to be in town.
Yeah. Well, at that point, it's like they're gone.
And that's how I had left it in my brain. Like literally y'all had convinced me that my parents and my grandparents were not going to be at engagement day because I had figured what on earth still drives me. I don't know how that happened.
We had to
That
throw
must
a
have been
wrench into the whole plan.
that must have been like God blinders. You know how like
It's
just
like the Jesus filter.
like
but-
just a Jesus filter, but like blinding. Like
Yeah.
it was like horse blinders. So then I start going and I'm like, well, I'm gonna start like doing my hair. I don't know what to do with my life. I'm like in your mom's house. Your mom's not home. So I'm like there by myself and I'm like, it's my engagement day and I'm just sitting here by myself. So then I start going a little crazy.
It's now 11 a.m. and my hair has
Status
been
update.
recurled. It's humid outside and it was raining all day yesterday, but we're gonna hope and pray that these curls stay super good. I'm just
Okay. And then we go to I clipped it for you
I'm so
again.
excited. Like I like close my eyes and like picture like him down on one knee, but also I'm like I also can't picture it. Like it feels like a dream. Like this is it. This is my proposal day. What? Like I can't wrap my brain around it. I'm so excited. Like this is really happening today. So I'm just gonna try to go with the flow. I'm not gonna try to like
It's my psych out.
overthink,
Yeah.
be too excited. Like I'm just gonna kind of
Give yourself the pep talk.
cool.
Yeah.
What are we doing? Like,
Chill out.
Go with the flow.
So now I think I'm gonna attempt to start putting some makeup on. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know what to do with myself. I don't know what to do with my life. What are you supposed to do? So this is just document for anybody who's curious. Like you don't know what to do with your hands. You don't know what to do with your life. Like
There you go. Now you know.
what am I supposed to be doing?
I'm just like losing my mind, losing
Yeah.
my ever loving mind. And that's just basically how it was. Basically how it was all day, all stinking day. There, we go to lunch, and first of all, I just have to commend you. Like, well, I'd already decided, and I think I said it in one of these videos that I clipped out, but like I had already said, hey, I have to act normal. Like, I don't want him to be uncomfortable. I don't want him to come to the house and me be like, wow, you took a 2.5-hour haircut.
Yeah.
And then him have to come up with a lie. Like, I didn't want to put you in that position, especially because I was pretty sure it was happening that day. And I just like kept telling myself, like, Courtney, just be present, just enjoy it. Like, don't try to catch him. If you try to catch him, you're gonna catch him, and you
Yeah.
don't want to do that. And so I don't know. It was a weird day because it was like, and I know, and I know that you know, and you know that I know, and I it was like all these things, and it was just it was like this thing we couldn't talk about.
Yeah.
Which honestly, the whole time of the whole, I mean, not just that day, but just like in the months leading up to it, I was like, I don't like that we can't talk about this. I
Yeah.
want to talk about it. You're my person. And so like I kept filming like throughout the day. Like there's a film, there's a video of me, like you're in the bathroom. Like, so we like go to lunch with your mom to celebrate your mom's Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And then we like come back home. She leaves. I didn't know this, but she leaves to go get ready for the engagement. And she leaves. And so like Nick and I just had like the weirdest day of like, other than that lunch, we were just going to sit around and wait for dinner. And so like we're
'Cause
at
we had date night coming up.
we're at your mom's house, and like you get up and you go to the bathroom, and I film another video, and I'm like, you're in the bathroom right now. And I'm recapping it. Otherwise, we'll watch the whole thing. And I'm trying to get to the other really good videos. But like, you're in the bathroom right now, and I'm trying really hard to act normal. Like, how are you normal? How are you so chill? I was like, how are you so chill right now? Like, I'm talking to the camera. You're in the bathroom, but I'm like, Nick, how are you so chill right now? I am not chill at all. You were acting so
I felt
normal.
like I played good character. I felt like I played the
Yeah.
part very well.
Like, I was like, what? It was so good that I think I say in that video, I'm like, if it's not today, you got me real good, because like I was starting to doubt maybe it's not today because he's acting so chill. And I'm like, no. So then we just like literally were out and around in the town. We went to get Starbucks at one point. The cat is now playing with toys. Amazing.
I don't know what that is.
It's the piece from the light that we broke.
Oh, in our setup.
Yeah.
Got it. By we, she means me.
Yeah. So we go to Starbucks, and I'm like, I need caffeine because I'm about to go to sleep, and I know I'm going to have to be up all night celebrating this engagement. So I'm like, so we go get coffee. You walk around to go look at something else in the store, and I'm like taking another video. I'm like, it's 4:00. Or it's like, it's 4:30. We're so close. We're getting so close. It's like an hour away. I'm like, I'm getting coffee because I need to be awake. It's just like hilarious. And then this video I will show. I showed this one on Instagram last week, but this one is then you're like, I'm gonna go see these pickleball courts.
I was told
You're
that they had
trying to
nice
kill
pickleball courts in the
time.
community,
You're
and
like,
I wanted to go look at it.
I want to go see pickleball courts.
I'm
And
sorry.
so like you go and you just leave your phone in the car. You just leave your phone in the car. And I'm like, excuse me.
Day.
Meanwhile, can we talk about the gorgeousness of this day?
You left your phone here. What are you doing? You trust me that much, huh? Or do you want me to figure it out? What are you doing?
The haircut looks good though.
Oh yeah. I was psyching myself out though. You were on your phone all day. Like all day.
Yeah,
I have
because
a
everyone and their mom kept texting me.
Yeah, that is your flaw for sure. So, and then I'm taking more videos. I'm like, it's like an hour away. So then we go back to your mom's. We get ready for our date night. And then we go to dinner. We go to dinner at this fancy restaurant. And honestly, I had no idea what was happening from here on out. Like, I figured that the engagement was happening today, but I had no idea how. I had no idea where. I had no idea how, like whatsoever. I do remember pulling up to dinner and being like, oh, we're actually going to dinner. And then I'm like, okay. And then I remember going into the restaurant, and I'm like, no one is here. it's just us. Like, I remember being like, what, excuse me? So we went to this fancy dinner, just the two of us, before our engagement, where I trauma dumped on you.
Wow.
I did. We got into this really intense conversation. It wasn't a bad one, but I was like, this is a conversation I've been wanting to have with you. Let me dump it all. My thought had been like, I would talk to you about this before our engagement day. Did it have to be done before our engagement day? No. But apparently I decided I really wanted it to be that.
I got to be real honest with you. I don't remember it at all. Not even in the slightest. I think I should get a pass on that, though.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
all I know is,
Absolutely.
though the service was good
For sure.
and the food was delicious
For sure.
and we had a great time, I gave us enough margin to where I was like, we can take a long time for dinner
Yeah.
and we'll still be there on time
Yeah.
or whatever. And it got to where I had told people I will be pulling into the parking lot at this time.
Yeah, 7:30 on the dot.
Be ready.
Yeah.
I will be here at this time. I will do this. And so, and I knew how far away we were. You know, we're 6 minutes away from
Sure.
the venue.
Sure.
And we're just sitting there. So I'm like, at one point, I'm trying to prolong, like,
Yeah.
or extend, whatever the word is there.
Yeah.
Trying to extend our dinner a little bit. Let's just keep talking. Let's, you know, so I let
Yeah.
you.
When you
like,
when you ask me to keep talking,
Yeah.
I will deliver.
So we do that. And then it reaches a point where I'm like, I need to check.
So what happened, what I noticed in this moment is that you start staring at your phone a lot, which
Well, not staring
is,
at, like, it's
like,
down
you,
on, it was
you
on
keep
the
like
seat,
kind of looking
and I just
at
keep
it.
looking, like, I'm like,
Which, like, when it comes to date night, like, you're really good about, hey, you know, I mean, even like when we sit down at our table, like,
Yeah.
you're really good about like phones away, like all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And so you kept like staring at your phone, me in the back of my head knowing like, okay, it's engagement day. It's probably
because
engagement day.
people from out of town were like, hey, I don't know if I'm at the right place. I don't know
Yeah,
if I'm in this.
for sure.
And so I'm trying to help them without being
For
obvious.
sure. So I start picking that up that, hey, he's on his phone a little bit more. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm going to give him a pass and I'm going to go to the bathroom because I am bloated and I'm about to get engaged and photographed because I just ate. Actually, I was going to say so much food, but that is a lie. We did not eat
No.
any food
I bought a very expensive dinner
that we
to not
ate the
eat
next day
much
for
of.
leftovers.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
We ate the next day for leftovers. I do remember at one point you telling me that you, when we were at dinner, you knew that I knew it was coming because I was
You weren't eating.
I wasn't eating and I was telling you these really intense things in public.
Yeah. You're like trying to get it all out before
I was
the
like
moment.
trying to get it all out. So you did tell me, you're like, I figured at dinner that you knew
Yeah.
it was coming at that point. And so
But
anyways,
it also reached a point to where I didn't care if you knew.
yeah, for sure.
I was like, no,
You
we're
have to
doing,
get to that
yeah,
point.
we're doing this, even if you know it's coming. Like, even if you know the engagement's happening, let's enjoy the ride.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm like, I'm going to go to the bathroom. I'm
So
going to
you-
try to take care of myself to try to eliminate some. Can we just be honest for a second, ladies? Like, I'm like, can I just try to, you know, do something a little bit? Cause I'm like, feel like I'm about to bust. And so I go to the bathroom and take a dump.
So you had trauma dump, and then you had
A
normal
trauma dump, and then I took an actual dump in the public restroom. And
At least it's a nice restaurant.
it was
I
a
like
very nice restaurant. And then I got to take this like cute video of me in the restaurant. I'm just like sitting there. I'm like excited. Like, look at me, all cute. Here I was thinking I was going to do like some sort of like awesome transition video or something like that. Joke's on me. So I do this. And then meanwhile, in the auditorium, your friend is setting everything up, giving
Wait,
people
hold on.
instructions.
I gotta talk here too.
Okay.
So you go to the restroom,
Yeah.
and as soon as you get up to leave, I'm looking for the waiter. Hey, look, you bozo. I need you over. So he finally comes with everything good. I said, everything's fine. I need the check now. And he was like,
Well, he was giving us our time because we were clearly in an intense conversation.
He was like, oh, okay. I said, look, I'm not trying to be rude. I'm about to ask her to marry me. I have to be somewhere in 9 minutes, and it takes me 6 minutes to get there. And he was like, all right, I'll get that taken care of right now. Like, he immediately, like, he went and got boxes, bags, everything.
The
Like,
whole
I
thing.
got it. And so I mean, he hooked me up, he
Yeah.
got it taken care of and
Yeah.
everything. And so that way, when you walked out of the restroom, I'm sitting there with a bag, like,
You were sitting there
ready to
ready,
go.
and I was like, oh, okay. And I had no concept of it. If I knew it was like getting that close to 7:30, I would have been like, oh yeah, okay, great.
Yeah,
But like I had no concept of what time it was. I was just in La La Land at that point. I was like high at
sure.
that point. Wasn't actually high, but I was basically high on life. And so then we come out of the restaurant and you like we go to the car, you walk me to the car and you open the door and I'm about to get into the car
Which I always open your
You
door
always
for
open
you.
my door.
And so that wasn't out of the ordinary.
No. So you open the
But-
door and I get in the car and you're like, wait. And I'm
No,
like,
you didn't get in
"What?"
the car. You went to
Because
get in
you
the
told me
car,
wait.
and I stuck my hand out and I said, "Wait."
And then you pull out a blindfold and
I
you
said,
blindfold me.
I need you to trust me. for
And
this
I
part."
sat there. He puts the blindfold on me. He goes, I need you to trust me. And I'm like, I do. And I just like smiled. And he goes, okay, I'm going to put this blindfold on me. And I said, wait. And I fixed my eye makeup because my eyes had smudged. And I was like, I knew that when this blindfold's going to come off, whatever I'm about to see, it's probably going to be captured whenever this blindfold comes
Yeah.
off. So let me fix my smudgy eye makeup. Why I didn't do it in the bathroom, I don't know. But so I was like, so you put the blindfold on and you just I just remember like being close to you and like you just like kind of smiling and you're like, I need you to trust me. Are you ready? And I was like, yeah, okay. There's a
Yeah.
lot of are you ready? There's a lot of are you ready? There's a lot of like, this was very fast the next 15 minutes, but it felt slow to me.
Yeah.
So slow. And so you put me in the car, blindfolded, and you drive. I'm not familiar with the city, so I have
put a specific
no
song
idea where
on.
I am. You put a very specific song on
Yeah.
that is a very important song to us. It
Mhm.
ended up being a part of our wedding,
Mhm.
like that our friends and our bridesmaids and groomsmen walked down the aisle to.
Yeah.
And so everyone's in the auditorium getting ready. You'll find out for what in a second. But yeah, so we get in the car. I have no sense of direction in this city. I don't know where I am. So that wasn't a giveaway. But we're just kind of sitting there and you're just kind of holding my hand, just like a lot of deep breaths. And you're driving. And then we pull up to the venue and the surprise almost gets ruined.
Oh my gosh. That guy. So we pull up. It's at my university alma mater. Yeah. And I know everyone there for the most part. I know tons
Big
of people.
man on campus.
Not that. I was always working. And my motto fun fact for anybody, that if you go to Lee University and you want to know how to do anything you want to do, literally whatever you're trying to do, walk with confidence and
Walk in there.
no one will ever question it.
Wow. We should redact that from the podcast.
Probably.
You might get in
But
trouble.
It's fine. I don't care. But I paid
If
them a lot
you've
of
lasted
money.
this long, you will be found out.
For sure.
It's fine.
So I get out of the car. I pull in to the loading dock because I'm parking right at the door.
Mhm.
Like I'm parking there. We're not walking very far. I park in the loading dock and I get out and campus security walks up to me. And my door's open and he's like, "Hey, were you doing something here tonight, man?" And I remember I closed the door.
I heard him say that.
Yeah. And I closed the car door and I looked at him and I just sternly went, "Sir, I'm about to ask my girlfriend to be I'm about to propose to my girlfriend and I need you to walk the other way." And the man literally goes, "All right." And he just turned around and walked away. No questions asked. And I did it. I was very stern with him, but I was trying to be polite. And I said, "I need you to walk the other way." And he straight up said, "Okay."
Yeah.
And so he did that. And then I had a friend waiting at the door to open it for me. And my goal was I wanted you to feel like we were the only people in the entire world.
Correct.
In that moment.
Mission accomplished.
I wanted you to have no inkling of people are watching, people are here. You did tell me you had not a stipulation, but a request that you said, "I would like to celebrate my engagement with my family if possible."
Yes.
Again, threw you off because you thought your parents and grandparents weren't even in town.
Yes.
So, but you had asked me, like, I would like if it's an after party, they don't have to be there, but it can be an after party or it can be whatever, a dinner or something. Again, which is why you're like, "Why are we eating dinner?"
Yeah.
So you had told me I would like to celebrate with
my
my family, if at all possible. And I'm okay, yeah, sure. So I want us to feel like the only people in the entire world. And So I don't know how you want it. I mean, I can tell
Yeah.
you.
So I'm gonna play this video. We're gonna the little clip of the video, the walking in, but set the stage. So you're bringing me into this stage of this auditorium. The proposal is going to happen on the stage of this auditorium. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with bistro lights, by the way. We have a bunch of strands in our house now. We had them at our wedding. I'm obsessed with bistro lights. Nicholas knows this.
And you've mentioned it 1,000 times
1,000 times
before the whole thing.
Yeah,
Like,
and
every time we
so-
see him, hey, it's my lights. Every time. I mean, you still
So-
do it, and it's great, and I love it. So.
Yeah. So we're about to watch this. So a couple things you know. So we're blindfolded, or I'm blindfolded. You're not. You're leading me through the doors, and
Yeah.
what I start to hear is piano music. It's Disney, and it is what song is it? Cinderella?
I don't remember.
I think it's Cinderella. So This Is Love is what it is on the piano. So this is love. Ooh. And then what you'll hear, so you'll see it happen. I guess we can kind of talk through it. We can play it. We can kind of talk through it.
Well, if you're going to do that, you need to make sure you cue so that it can be started for the viewers.
Yeah, for sure. Of course. Well, this is going to be the same clips that they're going to see.
I understand, but if it's not synced up, us talking is going to sound weird.
Yeah, Jeff's got it. He's
Okay.
good. I got him. Okay, so we're watching it now. So you can see I'm walking in.
Yeah, so I'm leading her in from backstage to the front. You
All
have
I
to
can-
realize the crowd, like the audience, all of the seats for the auditorium are behind us.
Yeah.
We're looking as if we're looking towards the stage.
Wait, this is important. So you get really close to me. I'm blindfolded.
Yeah.
And you say to me, I'm going to take your blindfold off. I'm going to take your blindfold off. Don't cuss.
That's literally what I said. Because the whole plan, I knew you love the bistro lights. And,
Yeah.
And I knew where I could go to a place and just have a ton of bistro lights.
Yeah.
And so that was the whole reasoning for this venue and this entire setup. Like, I
Mhm.
knew I could pull that part off. So
Yeah.
that's the whole reasoning behind going here.
Yeah. So you're taking the blindfold off. Don't cuss.
Yeah.
All I could hear the music, the Cinderella music. I thought somebody was playing. Turns out they weren't.
Yeah.
We got them to play at our wedding.
Absolutely.
And I could hear the photographer shutter. Like I could hear the camera shutter.
Yeah.
All the camera shutters. So you're like, okay, don't cuss. And I'm like, okay. And he goes, no, I'm serious. Don't cuss. At this point, I mean, you obviously know, everyone watching, spoiler alert, because there's a view of this video. There are people in the auditorium, and I do not know.
Yeah.
I do not know.
Yeah, and
We'll get to that in a
and
second.
I told them, like, I want her to think we're the only two people in the entire world.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Absolutely mission accomplished. I had no orientation of where I was. I didn't even know what kind of room I was in. I didn't even know I was on a stage, which, can we also take a moment about how poetic it is that musical theater kid Courtney got proposed to on a stage very similar to many, many stages that I've been on before. Like, it just feels so perfect. Anyways, so don't cuss. So I have no idea like where I am. I don't even know that there's a massive auditorium behind me. No idea whatsoever. No idea there's anyone else in the room other than photographer. She was dancing around. I saw her, but not dancing, walking around. So then you take my blindfold off and we just kind of stand there for a second. How are you feeling in this moment?
So as I'm taking the blindfold off, I mean, I don't know. I felt good. I wanted you to be able to appreciate the effort, if I'm being honest.
I did.
mean, yeah.
So we just kind of sat there for a moment. I just kind of sat next to you. Oh, because you were behind me.
Mm-hmm. And you told me, you're like, get next to me before you even opened your eyes.
Yeah, I said I'm going to keep my eyes closed because I want you to be next to me when I open my eyes. I
Yeah.
didn't want you to be behind me,
Yeah.
take the blindfold off, and then me have a reaction. I wanted you to see me.
Yeah.
So I kept my eyes closed. Then you came around next to me. So then we had this moment here, and then you walked me to the center, and this is the moment.
Well, I remember I said, didn't I say, like, are you ready or something like that?
You said, "Are you ready?" to me about 6 times. There was, like I said, literally, it's a minute-long video of the walk and the moment. And
Were we watching the whole thing?
probably.
Okay.
And we can talk through it though.
No, it's fine. I just didn't know.
But it also shows the surprise. So this is what's going to happen because you're about to see it. But we're going to walk to the center. We're going to sit there, have some words, which you had some words to me that will be between us for forever. And some words for me. Some words. They were good words of love.
I hope you remember them because I do not.
I remember bits of it.
Good.
But I do remember you asking me multiple times, are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
So much so that you like said your sweet words and then you actually like held my hands like standing next to me. Again, we're gonna see this. And you said, okay, just take a breath for a second. Like you just like kind of waited. Like I really continued to cast the illusion we were the only people in the room.
Yeah. I didn't care how long they were sitting there silently.
And so then you get down on one knee, ask me to marry you, and I say yes. Spoiler alert.
Yikes.
I say yes. And when I come up, the eruption of the crowd happens. And they are all in the balcony of this auditorium. And I was shocked.
Yeah.
I was dumbfounded. And you'll see it on my face. And then we can talk about it. But you'll see it on my face just at the amount. There were 60 people there. It was insane. Okay, let's watch.
Go.
This is talking me through all of the things, saying all the sweet words. Look at that, Neil.
I will say, my goal was not to slouch.
You looked great.
Yeah. I wanted
Perfect
straight legs.
pose.
Boom, boom.
It was perfect.
Those are brand new shoes. I scuffed them for you.
Nice.
Brand new.
Okay, so
Air
listen to
Jordan.
this. This audio track ends
Yeah.
right
Unplanned.
as I say yes, and as you stand up to kiss, it changes to The Lion King, which is our favorite.
And then everybody.
I was shocked.
Yeah.
So I just heard the screams, and then I look in the balcony, and I'm like,
Holy cow, there's a lot of people here.
holy cow. Ugh. Man. Wow. And then everyone starts running
I
down.
just heard Kara crying.
Kara
in the
just,
video.
that's Kara's video, I'm pretty sure. But then everyone starts running down, and it's hugs and tears, and I pretty much cried for the next hour and a half, 2 hours.
Yeah.
I was so shocked at how many people there. I mean, it was literally, there was like 60 people there. I
Yeah.
was shocked how many people were there. Wow. Like, here's the thing. When people ask me, like, tell me about your engagement, I'm like, you planned the Courtney Leo engagement.
Mm.
Like, there is nothing that I could have said or I could have planned like more or less. Like, I just was so incredibly proud of you. You had everybody there, like, that could be there. There were some people that couldn't, but like, including our like extended family too,
Mhm.
some members of that. And then like the bistro lights, gorgeous. The perfect like music. It was wonderful. It was the stage. It was amazing. And then afterwards, everyone came on the stage. We took a bunch of pictures and then like set up tables and desserts, and everyone just hung out. Like all of our people. So, which was such a gift too, because I always was like, oh, man, like our wedding day is going to be so great. But a wedding day is the only day where all of your favorite people are in the
Mhm.
same place. And for us, we got a lot of our favorite people in
Yeah.
the same place in May.
For sure.
And then we all had a big old reunion in November, which made it super fun because a lot of our people, a lot of our friends, a lot of our family got to meet at our engagement. And so by the time we got to wedding festivities, they were like, oh, yeah,
Yeah.
like you were there.
remember
Like,
you.
I remember you. And so it felt so intentional, and it felt so Courtney, and I felt so honored and special. And yeah, is there anything else you would say about that? What were you feeling?
I mean, I was glad it was over.
Yeah.
I mean, not in a bad way. Just finally, we're
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
And I was worried my mother was going to give the secret away because the ring was at her house.
Oh gosh, I can't
Um,
believe it.
And she didn't. She did wonderful.
Mom crushed it.
Yeah.
My grandparents crushed it.
Your grandparents crushed
Amazing.
it. They were there. So many friends and family were there. I remember too, like curating a playlist for you for the whole day.
Yeah, I forgot about
your
that.
sister. I was like, "Hey, this is what I'm feeling. Can you put together a playlist for me?" And she was like, "Yeah, I got you." So she puts all these songs on there that you love.
It was so good.
And then I remember picking out the songs for the actual moment, and I was just
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out. And
Yeah, but the tracks wasn't timed.
Oh,
like
no,
it was
not
just
at
on a
all.
playlist. So the fact that
It was
the music
it was 5
switched,
tracks that were on repeat. Like, so the fact that happened is
it's
a happy little accident.
perfect.
As
It's perfect production.
yeah.
I love it. It was like it was planned.
So, but I mean, yeah, and obviously in my brain we've already eaten dinner, so I just had hors d'oeuvres, you know.
It was awesome. It was such a great day.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And then
And then it was the randomest thing because then everyone went home. Many people drove quite a ways to be there. So everybody left and we're just there with a couple friends, wrapping up some last minute things.
Yeah.
Just kind of standing there. And then I'm like, well, I guess we're going back to your mom's house now.
What do we do?
We literally were in the car and I was like, like, and I think for me, it was that everything changed and also nothing changed.
Yeah.
And that was honestly the best feeling that, okay, this is really happening, but also I knew that I wanted to marry you. I knew that I was committed to you. I knew that I wanted to be your wife. And now everybody else just knew.
Yeah.
So, it was just this moment. I do remember that night also being like, I never have to be your girlfriend anymore. That's great.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of over the girlfriend title.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was ready for that to expire.
Wow.
I was ready for fiance land.
I do remember you brought up I'm a fiance so many times, and you would randomly, like, the next day we wake up and we're sitting in the car, you know, getting ready to leave, and you just like, what? Look what I got!
Oh my gosh, all the sparkles,
Yeah.
all the shines. Like, yeah, I was just constantly, well, bam, well, bam. So then, of course, because my parents took my grandparents up after the engagement, back up to New Jersey, I spent Mother's Day with you in Georgia at your church, and so we got to celebrate that and then have pretty much the worst goodbye of our entire relationship because we had been together for 10 days, which is the longest we had been together because we were long distance still.
And we were engaged.
And I was like, excuse me, I have to go back to long distance from my fiance. This is dumb.
For sure.
Let's pack boxes.
You know what? I think I'll move.
And that is probably where we'll end today because we're going to go into moving era, and that's just, man. So anyways, this is a longer episode, but I wanted to, capture this. If no one ever watches this, we have it recorded. We will watch it back and we'll be like, oh yeah, I did forget about that. Like, and so I wanted it captured for us, but also people always ask me, what would you want somebody to know? Like, if there was like a little like nugget of information, like a tidbit of information, if someone's listening and going, all right, that was a lot, what do I take away from that? What is like a takeaway you want people to have from this episode, this story? Is there something that like stands out, or like, I wish I did this, or think about this? Maybe to address it to the guys, or maybe address it to the girls. I'm putting him on the spot. I didn't tell him I was going to ask him this.
You did not tell me. I mean, you know me. I don't know.
Yeah. Not a verbal processor.
Not at all. I gotta think.
You can ask me a question. What do you think?
I think it's important to really not be afraid of putting intentional time into a plan. But I mean, like, if it is specific to engagement or a special day, anything like that, like, I did and it sounds just so toot your own horn, but I worked my butt off to put as many of your favorite things
Mm-hmm.
into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I did succeed,
Mhm.
and I feel like it was a near perfect day. But it took a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
but the work was worth it.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to like for guys and girls,
Mm-hmm.
because it was also important for you to put effort in not making me lie about it
Yeah.
and not putting me on the spot to do those things. Like,
Yeah.
I think it's important to have that intentionality in every aspect. It can be an engagement, but it also could just, I mean, we're recording this the day before Valentine's Day. It could be a date night like Valentine's Day or an anniversary, anything like that. I think it's important, even if and it doesn't have to be an engagement is a huge thing. So we went grand, or I went grand with the things, but to figure out something that just makes your significant other smile a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's a bouquet of flowers if they're a flower person, or whether it is chocolates, or it could just be going to sit outside by the fire or something like that. Let's focus on doing something intentional.
Yeah.
And it can be small intentionality, it can be large intentionality, but I think it's so important to work to be intentional, because it is work.
For sure.
And sometimes it's hard.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you just feel like you fall flat. Like, well, that didn't go over well. Or, because there are times I do something, I'm like, oh, she's going to love this. And you're just like, whether you had a bad night's sleep and you just are tired, you know what I mean? And like, she didn't even acknowledge it. Like you deflate a little bit, but it's still impactful. And you do an amazing job at being like, hey, thank you for the intentionality. I see it. I'm sorry I'm not reacting how you think how you expected me to, because maybe you're having a rough day or something like that. So you are great. You're intentional about letting me know. You notice the intentionality.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm greatly appreciative of that. But I just feel like any person, and this can go so far. I mean, do it for your parents.
For sure.
Do it for your siblings. Intentionality can change somebody's life.
Yeah.
You can intentionally send somebody a text, hey, thinking about you right now. I don't care if you've talked to them once in the last 3 months or a year or whatever. I tell you this, I have people come to my mind all the time, and I just text them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care who it is. I do it. Like, hey, you're on my brain today. Hope you're doing okay. If not, I hope your day gets better.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people, I feel like that's how the Holy Spirit speaks to me. Like, oh, here's a nugget of somebody's on your brain. Boop, you need to talk to them. And more times than not, when I show that intentionality, I get, it might not be in that moment. It may be later down the road, but I really needed to hear from you.
Yeah.
So intentionality.
For sure. It's good. It's good.
Sorry for everyone.
Little...
I just processed that,
mm-hmm.
and it took a while to get there. So
it's
I apologize.
Okay. I'm glad you did. Yeah, I think for me, we live in a very social media world where a lot of things are for public view and for public opinion and all that stuff. And I think what made everything so special to me is, like you said, like it was very Courtney. It was not like 1000% trendy. It was not 1000%. I mean, if we're trying to get like the best Instagram filter pictures ever, it was a dark room. Like
it's terrible for pictures.
It was terrible, so it wasn't for the trends. It wasn't for viral videos. It wasn't for the thing that's going to get the most likes and that everybody's going to love and it's going to make me feel good because of how other people feel good. But it was the intentionality of, no, this is Courtney's thing and Courtney's proposal. And so, and it meant so much more. One, I'm glad you did that, but also two, like I'm glad that was like the expectation that was set and that's what I wanted. Like, and so I want to give people permission to do what is kind and good for them. Like to not go with, this is going to look great, this is going to happen, this and blah, blah, blah. Like just be you and be in a place to give and to love and receive and all that stuff. And if you're listening and you are coming up on engagement, I do think if I were to change anything, I do think I wish I would have figured out a way to talk to you more about it.
Yeah.
Because like leading up to it, because I didn't talk about it, because I didn't want to spoil the surprise.
Yeah.
And I felt very isolated from you. I was very glad that it was over because I was like, oh, we have no secrets anymore. So that was really, really hard. But I think being able to just talk about expectations. You knew how to plan the perfect Courtney proposal because you know me and because we talked about it.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it was very Courtney, and I think that made it much more meaningful.
Absolutely.
Trends will change. Courtney won't. Just kidding. I mean, I will change.
You will.
I will change. You married me through all the changes, so
For sure.
Anyways, well, thanks for listening to our story, for sticking around this long. If you have, props to you. Bravo to you.
If you haven't, shame on you.
If you haven't, you're not here to listen. But we'll be back next time with another episode as we get kind of towards the end of the series. But thanks for listening. As you know, we want to capture this. It's kind of a personal project for us, but also want to share it with people and want to share it with the world. So let us know if you've got any questions. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Okay. Bye, everybody.
Thanks for listening to the Grace for the Growth podcast with Courtney and Leo. I hope that this conversation encouraged you and inspired you on your own growth journey and as you pursue a life full of authenticity and freedom. I want to encourage you to interact with us on social media at Grace for the Growth and at Courtney Y. Leo. Also, if you've got any ideas, way that these episodes have impacted you or encouraged you, I want to invite you to either DM us or email us at hello@graceforthegrowth.com. Until next time, I challenge you to embrace your story, welcome the messy, sit in the unknown, and live authentically. Bye-bye now.